Hey guys, I just woke up. That's why this is called Wake Up Unbox, and I may do this in the future if I start ordering more packages. The concept of Wake Up Unbox is as soon as I get up, I open up a package and I show you guys the contents of the package. This package is from England, and I've already opened it up. Based on the title of this video, you already know it's the Oldfield filter, and I'll explain more about what the Oldfield filter is as I go over all the things that you get inside the package. So here's the filter and like a little sheet of paper that I haven't read about it. They also give you a little handwritten note that essentially says, "With many thanks and best regards." And I'm sure this little handout thing inside this bag will explain the Oldfield filter within the creator's own words. So I'll probably go over what the bag pamphlet says before I try and explain it in my own words. I like that it comes, the filter itself, in this little zip bag or whatever. I appreciate it. It's probably better that it come in a little zip bag. It's something for you to hold it in so that you don't just have it sitting around. But I'm going to open this zip bag real quick and hold the filter in front of the live stream camera. There you go. Yeah, the colors and stuff that are showing up are very subtle. I didn't expect to still be able to... Oh, duh, yeah, because it's a screen. You can see the side of my hand when I do it. Let me flip it the other way around. Yeah. The point of this filter is to show off like subtle energy and invisible entities and things like that. So I'll try and make videos more based around that. A lot of people have been asking me what have I been doing crime fighting related, and a lot of it is paranormal crime fighting. If you've ever watched any of my videos where I talk about that, I'm pretty active in that. So my goal is to try and get something that could maybe represent that to allow me to do more videos on paranormal crime fighting, to where you can actually see more of the stuff that I'm talking about. Right now you can see these like after shadow images of my movements, of like my hands and my head and stuff like that. But I'll go more into detail about the Oldfield filter as we go along. I'm going to try and do a few videos specifically based around that. Before the end of this video, I'll probably hold up a couple crystals to the camera. Supposedly, there are these entities called crystal beings that exist inside crystals. And Harry Oldfield, the guy who invented this filter, he had a big focus on the crystal being thing and claims to have discovered them as well. But again, let's move on from that and cover the handout. If you've thought about ordering the Oldfield filter online, then you've seen the handout, but not in its full. They'll show the top border part of the handout, but you don't get to see the full thing. The full thing isn't really like a full sheet of paper. It's really just like a little cutout pamphlet, but it is front and back, and it seems like it has a series of instructions, which I'll just read out to you. So, Oldfield filter, handheld external filter for 35mm cameras. The Oldfield filter splits light into different frequency components, which are seen in multiple colors. Essentially, it's talking about refracting light, which is why you see all the different color effects when you hold the filter up. This setup in experienced and sensitive hands can yield extraordinary images showing energy field effects and entities otherwise invisible. Sorry about that. Because I just woke up, I will slip quite often, and also because it's live and unedited broadcast. I'd like to focus on that last sentence, though. I'll read it again. This setup in experienced and sensitive hands can yield extraordinary images showing energy field effects and entities otherwise invisible. In his keynote address that he gave, that was based around a peer-reviewed journal that talks about subtle energy, he says essentially the same sentence, and they publish it inside their journal, the keynote, but it doesn't include the energy field part. It just says the invisible entities. I notice on the website, it also mentions the energy field effects, even though in the peer-reviewed journal, it doesn't mention the energy field effects. It just mentions the entities. But I wonder if that's because invisible entities is a big enough umbrella term to where it would also cover energy field effects. Or if maybe the peer-reviewed journal censored out the part about energy fields, essentially vetting that you should be able to see invisible entities, but not necessarily that you see energy fields. Or maybe that he just felt he didn't need to say it. But I find that interesting. Also, when it comes to just the peer-reviewed aspect, I know I'm getting a little off topic from just reading the flyer, but it seems like when it comes to the actual theory behind how the Oldfield filter is supposed to work, the peer-reviewed journal article doesn't go into detail about this theory, about how the filter supposedly defies speed of light conventions and things like that. And I also am skeptical of their explanation of how it's supposed to work. But the article does seem to vet the concept that you can see the invisible entities. So the next part that goes over the theory behind it, I don't personally agree with the theory. And I think me and the peer-reviewed journal paper share a similar idea behind it, that if it does indeed show invisible entities, then it does so maybe even through the light refraction stuff, right? Split into different frequencies and allows you to like see the entities. Like, fair enough, but not the whole implied breaking the speed of light thing, which I will show you. I will read to you from the sheet. Harry Oldfield has termed the phrase spiritual photonic interference and uses the filter to investigate such phenomena. This theory has also to imply breaking the light barrier, the scientific criterion that alleges that nothing can exceed the speed of light. Harry believes that in other universes, the speed of light is different. Also, there's evidence emerging with the help of researchers such as Bruce L. Cathy, author of Harmonic 33, amongst many other books, that even on Earth, the speed of light is not constant. We also approve of the research of photophoresis, where light has been seen to travel in spirals. So I don't know exactly how to feel about that, but then again, I'm not very involved in ideas that have to do with going faster than the speed of light. Distant intention, I think, is the closest that I get to that, in which there are multiple peer-reviewed articles that say that you can direct your distant intentions through space and time, which would imply that intentions can travel through time, but not in the traditional sense of we're all traveling through time, but as in like more the sci-fi sense that intentions can move through time, almost as if your intentions had a time machine. So your intentions can travel to the future and potentially even travel to the past, but no one ever does studies on whether or not intentions can travel to the past, because essentially you'd have to structure your experiment backwards, where the results would happen first, and then you'd have someone direct intentions, but you would already know what the results were. It would be weird. It seems like if anyone tried to do that experiment, it would be automatically contaminated in some way, especially since it's due to intentions. So because the scientists involved already know what the results will be, then I feel like their intentions and the instructions that they give to whoever is directing the intentions will be skewed, maybe even unintentionally. So let me hit up the back side of the pamphlet now. Just finished reading the first side and talking more about the instructions on how to use it. So the Oldfield filter is for experimental use in environmental and psychic investigations. Positioning the Oldfield filter. Hold the filter in front of the camera lens with one hand. There's no right or wrong way up to hold the filter. The closer the filter is to the camera lens, the easier it will be to avoid inclusion of the edges of the filter in the picture or a reflected image of the lens. We suggest turning the flash off to avoid the flashlight reflecting back into the camera lens. Control shots. Take control shots of the subject and background in order to compare and identify any interesting anomalies in the picture. Digital pictures are easily transferred to computer for more detailed analysis. Cleaning recommendations. Mild contamination is no problem in the field as the camera is not focusing on the filter itself but beyond it. Use of a lens dust blower will remove most surface contamination. We do suggest avoidance of fingerprints on the filter itself if possible, as the filter should not be cleaned by rubbing with a cloth as you would do an ordinary camera filter. So the main way to clean it based on those instructions would be to use the lens dust blower and to never touch it directly with your fingers. Seems like the real meme here. So that will be how you keep your Oldfield filter clean. By the way, I did imagine the filter to be bigger than it actually appears. But the size is fine. This definitely seems more portable, especially with the bag that it's contained in. So this is good. There's also a note at the bottom of this pamphlet. And the note says, the Oldfield filter should not be confused with our software programs, New Energy Vision or Polycontrast Interference Photography, with which energy field analysis has been conducted over many years. So that's fair because those have definitely been used in many capacities. Like, he actually does crystal healing, taking advantage of those other methods that he listed using the New Energy Vision system. Here's another showing of the packaging. Now I just slipped everything back in there. And that makes sense that he wouldn't want to trick you into thinking that you're getting something else. The main difference between those, by the way, and this filter is that because it uses an electronic system between multiple different types of filters that supposedly view subtle energy, this is just a single handheld, for lack of a better word at the top of my head, analog filter. Oh, and if you're wondering why I just woke up, I don't have class today. Let's see. Putting the filter up again. I have to hold it up with one hand. Control shots. Yeah. First, here's just this crystal pendulum that I've had with me for a little while. I've been excited to see if we can try and view the energy of the crystals to see if we can have a better understanding of the whole crystal entities thing that Harry Oldfield claims exist. So I'll hold the crystal up here. I'll move the filter in the shot. Just like everything else that's in the foreground of the picture, you can see this second refraction or whatever, like the duplicate. I'm going to try and hold it up closer to the screen. I don't see any kind of resonating aura for real, other than, of course, the colorful duplicate to the side. Thing like that. And you can see light reflect off. Oh, that's still just the duplicate to the side. But it also is creating spotlight effect on the other side. So is it generating 3 duplicates? Yeah, it's generating 3 duplicates. Let me look at my hand real quick. Generating 3 duplicates. To my right, visible duplicate to my left. And same goes for just about everything else. This is me trying to get a better understanding of how the filter works and how I'll attempt to use it. I want to do videos like those Cyball instructional videos that you see people do, where they just have their hands held up, where they're generating the ball, and trying to test the Oldfield filter to see if it actually can register the Cyball. So I think that'll be interesting. Send the filter back up again. Well, first I'll show you this crystal pyramid that I have. I haven't really messed around with the crystal pyramid that much, so there's a good chance for me to see what will appear when showing the Oldfield filter. So right now in this shot, you can, that is, okay, that's fascinating. Because of how it refracts everything, transparent. Yeah, that is weird. But what's happening is that, okay, there we go, there's my hand. On the wall is being refracted behind me, but it looks like it's actually through me. And that's cool. There's an image of Stonehenge that Harry Oldfield took with this filter, and he includes that image in that small pamphlet that I showed you, where it looks like he's seeing straight through the Stonehenge. And for his, as simple of an explanation as the side refraction, because the bottom half of the Stonehenge is visibly transparent, where the top half is not, where in this video, it almost looks as if a majority of my body, if not all of my body, due to everything in the surrounding area being refracted. So let me hold up this crystal pyramid. Looking at the pyramid, I don't necessarily see anything special about it. I'll hold it closer to the lens. Yeah. There's nothing particularly eye-popping. I guess threefold effects that it does to essentially anything. Like I could imagine someone watching this video so far and seeing the threefold refraction effect and going like, oh wow, a lot's going on. But I would argue not necessarily. And the reason why is because, for one, Harry Oldfield has presented this concept that there are energy entities that exist inside crystals. And because the camera lens is capable of supposedly capturing these energy fields, that you should be able to see something different and interesting about these crystals, but you don't necessarily. Like holding the lens up to my eye, right? It still does the same refraction effects as if I was to hold it up to the camera. So in that respect is similar to Spiderwick Chronicles, the whole like seeing stone. If anything, I would say the pyramid does have like a more prominent refraction. But right now I'm going to do a comparison of the pyramid to this old UAH conference card. Let's see which one would appear to have more energy. So real quick, I'm going to set up the filter. Okay. The UAH conference card. It has a somewhat pretty prominent. Yeah, there we go. You can see all three better when I do this of all its refracted setups compared to this pyramid. In which is rather faint, but the crystals are supposed to contain these energy entities, where the conference card is just a conference card. So it seems to be more of how light interacts with these in the first place. But I am interested in doing more experiments with the filter, see what we can try and establish as being a thing or not being a thing. For example, I'm going to try to do like a Cyball or whatever, where essentially I visualize energy moving through my body and then coalescing into the palm of my hand into the shape of a ball. And you can see my hand refracted over my hand. And as I move my hand, you can see that hand refraction move back and forth. But that, I wouldn't say like, oh, that's the Cyball or anything like that. You can clearly see that the thing above my hand is just the refraction of my hand. That being said, though, feeling a Cyball in your hand, because if you've ever tried to do one of the Cyball experiment things, you can feel the ball in the palm of your hand. As I move my hand around, and I actually have something that I can look at visually, your brain does start to pair the two. So as I do see the refraction of my hand moving on the screen, I do also feel the ball move with it, which makes sense because the ball would be moving with my hand. But I begin to associate it with the refracted image, and that's cool. This illusion, though, is broken when you hold your hand like this, because the Cyball is still focused in the palm of my hand, but the refracted image shows my hand above and below where the Cyball is in palm. So it kind of messes with my perception of the energy. Like I no longer will associate it with what I see, because what I see doesn't go with what I feel, kind of thing. So that's interesting. I also would like to do a thought field thing where I hold up the Oldfield filter and then we try to determine if it can see a thought form. Because if it can see energy forms, which for this is trying to claim like spirits kind of thing, but for thought form, an entity created by force of will, of energy, if it can see ghost, I believe it should be able to see thought forms. But I feel like if it could see thought forms, it probably should have seen the Cyball. It's more or less what I'm getting at. So I can do another experiment real quick. or I try to generate a thought form and see if it would appear on camera. But yeah, I don't see anything particularly different to indicate that there was a thought form present. I have a window over here, which would explain here, because it would be being refracted from the window. Though honestly, I do find this interesting about the filter, is that somehow the camera filter, through the light refraction, can capture things that aren't visibly in the shot. If I move the filter, right, my window is out of frame on that side, and it's against the wall. And then I have a box that holds like my deodorant and things like that I used to get ready. But the way that the refraction works, the box, which is out of view, comes into view. I'm going to touch the side of the box. You can actually see my hand on the box. So it actually is expanding the view of the camera lens to see beyond what it should be able to see. And those are just straight up the blinds to my window. And you can see me point at the blinds. I also have a tux that's sitting on top of the box, and you can see me touch the tux. But without the filter, the camera can't see that far to the side. And that's fascinating. The idea that it can push things that shouldn't be visible farther. I actually don't understand how that works. Because the filter actually just sees beyond what the camera should be capable of. It's actually just out of shot. And we can do this meme again. My hand is over here. I'm gonna give a thumbs up, right? So I have a thumbs up that's outside of the camera's reach. And I'm gonna remove the filter. And you can't see the thumbs up. Put the filter back on. Thumbs up is visible. I'll rotate my hand so you can see it better. Okay. I'll lift my hand up. I'll move it outside of the shot, right? Filter. And you can see the thumbs up. So that actually is really interesting. Because the camera filter is capturing things that I really shouldn't be able to see. I'll also try to do this with my phone camera and see how that works in comparison to using it with the webcam. But thank you guys for watching. This has been, Wake Up Unbox. I'll be doing more videos soon. I'll also try and do some dueling book videos. I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! More recently. So there'll be some online dueling book gameplay. So stay tuned for more content. And thanks for watching.